Tuesday morning, age 30. Two kitchen tables, the same envelope sitting on each, the same number printed inside, a $1,200 a month raise effective the first of the next pay cycle. Two people, same age, same raise. 20 years from now, at 50, that same $1,200 raise will have produced two completely different mornings. One person sits across from a brokerage statement reading roughly $840,000. The other sits across from a leased car renewal notice in an apartment rent statement. In the brokerage line reads zero. By the end of this video, you'll know which of the two mornings is yours in the one decision in the first 30 days after the raise lands that decides it. Start with what the raise actually is. $1,200 a month, gross. $14,400 a year, pre-tax. After federal and state withholding, somewhere around $840 net in most middle income brackets. That's the cash that arrives on your paycheck starting the first of the next month and never stops. What you do with the first month decides the cadence of the next 20 years. Nothing dramatic happens in the first month. Nothing dramatic happens in the first year. The drama is at 50, and the drama is the absence of one of the lines on your statement. This is the cluster's axiom. The difference isn't income. The difference is one decision. Not the raise itself, not your salary level, the structural block you put in front of the raise in the first 30 days or don't. You're going to recognize one of these two households. The question is, which one? Path A. Your raise arrives. The household, yours in this version, doesn't make a conscious decision about it because there's nothing to decide. The money's just there now. Slightly larger paycheck, end of story. Month 2, the auto lease agreement on the older car comes up for renewal.
Excellent choice. Just sign here.
The $400 lease on a slightly newer model is no longer a stretch. It's now within the budget that the raise made possible. The household upgrades. Month 7, the lease on the apartment is due to renew. The unit 2 floors up has a real bedroom instead of a den converted to bedroom. The rent difference is $500. With the raise, the difference is manageable. The household moves. Year 2, the dining pattern shifts, not all at once, across about 6 months. The restaurants get slightly nicer. The takeout frequency increases by 2 nights a week. The grocery bill drops. The restaurant bill rises by roughly $300 a month. Nobody adds it up. By year 3, the household lives in a place that costs $500 more, drives a car that costs $400 more, and eats meals that cost $300 more. Total, exactly the $1,200 net the raise produced. The raise has been spent, every cent of it. That spending isn't a moral failing. It's the default behavior of a paycheck increase in the absence of a structural block. Nobody made a choice. The choice was the absence of a different choice. Work it backward. The decision to spend the raise wasn't made at month 7, year 2, year 3. The decision was made at month 1, when the raise arrived and didn't go anywhere specific. The first 30 days are when the money has no assigned destination. After day 30, the absorption has started. Does the leased car make you happier than you were before the raise? In the first 3 months, almost certainly. The seat feels new. The infotainment is responsive. The drive to work has a slightly different quality. You notice it on a Wednesday morning when you slide into the seat with your coffee. Year 3, year 5, the car is the car. It's the thing you drive. It doesn't produce a discrete happiness signal anymore. You don't notice it on the Wednesday morning. You notice it the day it's in the shop and you have to take the rental. This is hedonic adaptation, the well-documented finding that lifestyle accretions produce diminishing emotional returns over time. Killingsworth's 2023 work on income and emotional well-being updates a much-cited earlier study by Kahneman and Deaton from 2010. Kahneman and Deaton had found a plateau in emotional well-being around $75,000 of household income a year. The plateau became cultural shorthand for money stops mattering above a certain point. Killingsworth, using experience sampling data from over 30,000 participants, showed that for most people, emotional well-being continues to rise with income above $75,000, but the rise per dollar diminishes substantially. The follow-up paper with Kahneman in 2023 reconciled the two findings. Happiness continues to rise for most, plateaus for an unhappy minority, but the rate of rise slows the more you make. I think about what that finding does to the Path A story. The lifestyle accretions absorb the raise but don't deliver the sustained well-being uplift you'd expect from looking only at year 1. The leased car at year 5 feels normal. The bigger apartment at year 7 feels like normal space. Adaptation does the absorbing. That's the mechanism the cluster's first axiom relies on. The difference between rich and not rich isn't income, because income gets adapted to. The difference is what stays unspent. Path B. Same raise, same Tuesday morning, same envelope. Month 1. And this is the entire decision point. Path B sets up an auto transfer that moves the net portion of the raise into a brokerage account. Before it ever hits the checking balance, the household sees Vanguard, Fidelity, Schwab, doesn't matter, total market index fund or S&P 500 fund, roughly $900 a month, automated day after payday. The smaller take-home pay arrives in the checking account looking like it always did before the raise. The household spending pattern doesn't change because nothing new is visible. Roll that number forward 20 years. At the S&P 500's long-run nominal rate of about 10%, Vanguard's 20-year compounding data, the account grows to somewhere between $800,000 and $900,000. Call it $840,000 at a conservative net assumption. Path B didn't sacrifice anything visible. They didn't go without. They just never lifted the lifestyle to where the raise would have taken it. The car they drive at 50 is the same class of car they drove at 30. The apartment is the same one, or one similar enough. The dining frequency is the same. What changes at 50 is the brokerage line. The line reads $840,000. Compounding doesn't ask permission, it just runs. I had a friend get a raise 31 and consciously not touch it. He set up the auto transfer the same week the raise hit. 12 years later, he showed me his portfolio at a coffee shop. It was a tab in his banking app, never paid attention to. The balance was a number he didn't recognize. He told me he hadn't thought about the raise in 9 years. The auto transfer ran on the first of every month. Whatever the rate did in 2020 or 2022, he didn't watch. He didn't change his car. He didn't move apartments. The portfolio compounded in the background while he lived essentially the life he'd been living at 31. I think about that line of his. I hadn't thought about it in 9 years, every time this topic comes up. The decision he made in month 1 of the raise didn't require any further decisions for 9 years. That's what the structural block buys you. Small pause. The next few minutes get into the part nobody wants to sit with. The real spread between path A and path B at 50, and the product the firm sells to path A when they realize at 48 that the spread exists. Subscribe if you want to stay with the breakdown that names that spread directly instead of softening it. Tuesday morning, age 50. 2 kitchen tables. Both households make roughly the same income now. The raise from 20 years ago is just the baseline of the current paycheck. Path A's table holds an Amazon delivery notice, the lease renewal on the car, now the 7th in a series, the rent statement at $1,300 more than 20 years ago, and a credit card statement with roughly $1,400 in monthly restaurant spending. The brokerage statement, if there is one, shows somewhere in the high tens of thousands. Fidelity publishes a retirement readiness analysis every year. Their 2024 benchmark recommends 6 times annual income saved by 50. Path A sits at roughly 0.7 times, far below. Path B's table holds a quarterly brokerage statement reading roughly $840,000. The retirement projection conversation isn't whether they can retire, it's which year between 60 and 65. Fidelity benchmark passed at year 15 of the auto transfer. The Federal Reserve's 2022 survey of consumer finances puts the median 50-year-old household at around $200,000 in retirement assets. Path A sits well below the median. Path B sits at roughly 4 times the median, both from the same starting raise. The spread between the two tables is roughly $750,000 of net worth. That's 20 years of one auto transfer. Compare it to where you were a year ago. If a raise came in over the past 12 months and you can't name the brokerage line where it landed, the absorption ran on you. Not blame, just the observation. Here's the part the firm doesn't post on the marketing site. The product wealth management firms sell to Path A at around 48. When Path A figures out the spread exists, isn't the same product they would have sold at 30. At 30, Path A would have gotten the index fund and auto transfer conversation. 12 minutes, maybe 15. The household would have been done with the decision before lunch. At 48, Path A gets a different product. It's called something like cash flow optimization, or lifestyle rebalancing, or retirement gap planning. The product is a structured audit of the household's current spending, a recommended reduction list, a brokerage account open to receive the redirected cash flow, and a fee, usually 1% on the new portfolio, plus a flat planning fee somewhere between $2,500 and $7,000. The product gets sold because Path A is now scared. 15 years from 65, insufficient savings to retire on the plan they expected. They need help. The firm sells help. The product is real. It can reduce the spending, redirect the cash flow, and get Path A's brokerage balance moving. What it can do is recover the 20 years of compounding that the raise didn't get to do. I see this transition happen in conversation more than people would expect. 48 is the age the question lands, sometimes 46, sometimes 50. The pattern is a moment where the household runs the retirement projection for real, sees the number, and starts looking for a service that can fix it. The service exists, it costs a fee, it does some good, it doesn't reverse the 20 years that already ran. That's what gets caught after the trap closes. The trap closes around month 4 of the raise. The product gets sold around year 18. The two are different transactions. The honest version of this, the one I don't say in polite company, is that the lifestyle absorption isn't a moral failing. It's the default. The default is exactly what happens when you don't put a structural block in front of the raise during the first 30 days. After 30 days, the absorption has started. After 90 days, it's locked in. The lease has been signed, the apartment has been moved into, the restaurant pattern has formed. The raise has destination addresses now. None of them are the brokerage. So what's the operational call? The first 30 days after your raise arrives, before anything else, before the auto loan renewal, before the apartment hunt, before the spending pattern shift, you go to a brokerage account, Vanguard, Fidelity, Schwab, the same 3 names, and you set the auto transfer for the net portion of the raise, roughly 70% of the gross. If your raise is $1,200 a month gross, that's about $840 net into the brokerage, recurring purchase of a total market index fund, day after payday. The IRS publishes contribution limits every year. For 2024, the 401k employee contribution limit is $23,000 annually. If your employer's plan accepts a higher percentage withholding, route the increased portion of the raise through the 401k first. That captures the deduction and the employer match if there is one. Whatever's above the limit goes into a Roth IRA or a regular brokerage account. I'd add one more thing about the mechanics. The auto transfer has to happen on your account, not as a calendar reminder on your phone. The platforms call it auto invest or recurring buy or scheduled transfer. Pick the day after payday, pick the amount, hit confirm. After that, the structural block is in place and your raise has nowhere to absorb into for the next 20 years. The other small detail I'd add. When your next raise comes, 2 years from now or 3 or whenever it lands, the same 30-day window opens again. The auto transfer amount goes up by the net of that raise. Same logic, same structural block, same first 30 days. Ask yourself honestly. If you got a $1,200 raise next month, would you set up the auto transfer in the first 30 days before anything else moved? The answer is the one variable that decides whether you sit at Path A's table or Path B's table at 50. Tuesday morning, age 50. 2 kitchen tables. The 2 envelopes from the beginning of this video, 20 years older now. The print is faded. The numbers are the same. One envelope produced $840,000 on a brokerage statement. The other envelope produced a leased car, a bigger apartment, a dining pattern that nobody remembered choosing. Pull up the date your last raise landed. Look at the line on your bank statement the month after. The line is either an increased balance held in a brokerage account or it's silence. The silence is what absorbed it. Look at this moment, right now. The next race is somewhere on a calendar, 6 months, 18 months, 3 years. The decision about where it goes isn't made in the month it arrives. It's made now, in the structural block you do or don't put in place. 2 envelopes at 50. The race didn't decide. The first 30 days after it landed decided.